Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's stream. And as you can see from the thumbnail, we have Mr. Vaibhav Chavan, the superstar of gaming industry, with us on this stream of Game Devs Assemble. So, Vaibhav, welcome to the stream. And what's up? What's going on? What's new?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. All good, man. All good. Long time,
Yeah,
long time after this. Uh, कितना बड़ा ब्रेक हो गया यार.
बहुत बहुत ब्रेक बड़ा ब्रेक हो गया मतलब आई थिंक आपके पॉडकास्ट के बाद अभी हम लोग ये स्ट्रीम कर रहे हैं.
No, but apart from that, also it's been like doing this live stream um, is after like 2 years, I think, on your channel.
Yes, after a very long time. But we have a lot of folks over here, so we'll just say hello. So Anish Gupta, hi. Karti Ayani Amma, hi. Atharva Joshi, hello. Atharva ने नया लैपटॉप लिया. Atharva got a new laptop. So congrats, Atharva. Suhail Saifi, TF Gamer, waiting for this banger. Oh, they're talking about the wallpaper as well. So Weber, what's up, man? How are you? How have you been? What's going on?
Okay, before I begin, can you just check if my camera is
Oh
visible?
yes, it is visible now. Yes.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
cool. All right, man. So basically, all we are focused now is to build Mukti.
Yeah.
It's been quite a while that we had this idea and all, but
Yeah.
never got into the production of the game for
Yeah.
a long time.
Right.
Fortunately, this happened last year,
Yeah.
and because Sony came in, this long held dream of making Mukti has kickstarted again.
Yeah.
So, February 2024 is when we actually started the production.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, and now what we are doing is um, we last month only we finished the first playable.
Okay.
Ideally, when you do these bigger games, you work, you basically reverse engineer, right? You
Yeah.
actually design the systems, do everything first,
Yeah.
make the core loop and the core systems, and then eventually get into scaling up the game, right? So our
Right.
first 10 months went into creating those systems. uh, Now we have entered pre-alpha, so everything now is set and we are scaling up the game. So that's what is happening, man.
Awesome, yeah. So I'll just introduce you to the agenda of this stream. That there is no agenda. First of all, it's just us as friends talking about games. Whatever comes to our mind, the entire canvas is completely blank. But I'm genuinely interested to know more about Mukti because not a lot of people know, but Mukti has been under development since a long time. I think probably even more than Mumbai Gullies, right? So do you want to talk a little bit about that? How did you come up with the idea of this game and what are the challenges that you faced? What were some of the misconceptions that you had while starting out? And now that you have fully into development, what are the challenges that are thrown on your face right now?
See, firstly, what I would like to clarify is that again, Mukti, the first draft that we wrote was back in 2017,
Wow.
but it never went into development for a long time.
Mhm.
It was in pre-production, you can say, and being an indie studio, you always dream of making bigger games, and when you have to keep the studio running, so
Yeah.
you do a lot of outsourcing. You um, have to keep your people together, so every now and then you get a window
Yeah.
where you actually do some progress in the
Yeah.
game, in the game, right? So unfortunately we never got that window
Mm.
because 2017-18 happened, and then eventually in 19, as we crossed 19,
Yeah.
uh, hyper casuals came in, and before that, like that on the same time COVID happened, right?
Yeah.
COVID was all about survival. There
Mhm.
was nothing that we could have done but just to do some outsourcing and keep the studios alive.
Right.
So honestly, we never went into development. We never went into production.
Yeah.
Technically, you can say it was all pre-production till late 2023,
Yeah.
because 2021 we actually got Unreal Mega Grant. So that's
Oh.
another story. So we
Yeah.
got Unreal Mega Grant in 2021,
Yeah.
and what Mega Grant usually does is it helps you to create a vertical slice, not
Hmm.
more than that. So
Yeah.
um, they'll offer you something around $25,000,
Right.
which you can use and create a vertical slice. Now, vertical slice is kind of a demo, but it's very highly polished. 2% of what your game is. So we
Right.
did that, and we used that money to create that vertical slice. And the trailer that you're seeing here
Yeah.
is also like a cinematic pulled from that vertical slice.
Okay.
So you could
Wow.
have played the vertical slice. Yeah, we never published it. We never brought it out.
Yeah.
It was there with us. It was like around 30-35 minutes gameplay,
Hmm.
and from that gameplay we pulled this trailer out. So um, and then just after that we started talking to Sony. Sony
Okay.
came in India. I think you and me both met Sony on the same day.
Yeah.
um, Back in, I think, it was 2022, right?
Yeah.
May 20.
2021, 2020. Yeah, 22, I think. Yes.
I guess it was 2021, May
Yeah.
2021.
Yeah. Because the very first meeting happened in 2021, and then all of us were anticipating that they're going to announce something in 6 months, 7 months, 12 months, and that was a long cycle. But finally it happened. And before we get into that, let's just understand what's going on in the trailer for the audience who has not seen Mukti so far. Do you want to talk a little bit about the trailer? And I know you get very excited explaining the story because that was one of the reasons why you were able to close with Sony, right? So, do you want to talk about that experience a bit? Like, what happened in that meeting at IGDC in that presidential suit of Novotel?
Oh man, that was a
Chills,
crazy
right? Literal
experience.
chills, right?
That was a crazy experience.
Yeah,
See, actually, Sony is very confidential and they do things very nicely, very quietly, and you have to basically go with the flow.
yeah,
The first meeting happened in 2021 in May, and then all of a sudden, I think in 2022, IGDC, Yoshida came to IGDC,
yeah,
Yoshida-san. So the people who don't know Yoshida, just go go and Google him.
yeah,
He's the most important guy for indies in PlayStation. Sadly, he also has quit now.
yeah,
But yeah, this is the guy. So they just randomly. So I was not really informed. They randomly, while I was at IGDC itself, they randomly called me to the presidential suite on the top floor of this Novotel.
Yoshida-san's birthday is coming on 11th of February, by the way. I can see it's a few days away.
Yeah, so there I was on a big screen. I was explaining Yoshida. Yoshida himself was there, and I explained him the whole game. And there was a very funny, or you can say, very interesting moment for me at that time, because the game is a story based game, right? So it has a very nice element at the end of the game, which I usually don't talk about. I just don't talk about that, and while I'm explaining that story to anybody, I don't even mention that, right? Because that's the fun of the whole game. So I explained to Yoshida about the whole game, and then when the climax scene comes, I just stopped and I told him that, yeah, that's the game. And he's like, "What? Tell me what happens at the end."
He literally jumped out of his chair. I think
Yeah.
you
So
mentioned.
I was like, okay. So I told him, though I just looked at the other folks, and I was like, they just nodded their heads and said, "Tell him what's the end." I told him the end, and the moment I told him the end, he was very relaxed on his couch like this, and then
Like that is the
he
cliffhanger.
just yeah he just happened to do this and to tell me that I got goosebumps. Like that is
Yeah.
what we actually wanted from the story.
But
So
what a story to tell, right? What a story. Like not just the game story, but this specific meeting that actually, like if you recall this meeting, probably this might have been the one of the most important meetings in Indian gaming history, right? If you look
yeah,
at
because
this 10 years later, people
yeah,
will probably mention this story that what happened in that room and because of which Mukti happened and Mukti was like Mukti and I also plug in Mumbai Gillies because why not? Like these are a couple of games that actually were able to set the precedent for all the games to come, right? So like damn fun.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and it was crazy, man, because it the whole time period was when when Sony was actually trying to formalize the whole they were trying to jot it down, the whole plan to bring IHP to India. It was not 100% done, and
Yeah,
at that time, if they wouldn't have seen good stuff or conviction or stuff that they have conviction in,
yeah,
I don't think IHP would have even existed.
yeah,
The Because like us, a lot of others, including you, actually showed their games to Sony,
yeah,
which kind of was an validation that they also understood that there is great talent in India. There are
right,
great games coming out of India,
right.
which is what I think was very helpful for IHP to happen.
Absolutely. And I have a couple of my audience who are asking the age-old question, what is happening with Mumbai Gillies? Mumbai Gillies, any update? So guys, Mumbai Gillies is under development. You can follow the games page on Instagram and a couple of other social media handles. About all the details you will get over there itself. But Weber, how are you feeling? Like, are you feeling a bit controversial? Do you want to touch base on some controversies or do you want to keep it lightweight?
I am not a part of controversy, man.
Okay. Well, like if you,
I try to shut the controversy right there, and there are a few small time guys trying to always create that buzz
yeah,
to get some eyeballs, to
yeah,
get some attention. But the best part to do is just ignore and put your head down and keep working on what you are working.
yeah,
Right, so that happens. That I think that happens in every industry.
yeah,
I would basically want to stay away from all of this, and I've been like a big fan of um, actions more than
yeah,
words.
absolutely.
So I would rather, and that's one of the reasons that you don't see anything. It's been like almost a year now,
Yeah.
but you wouldn't see a lot of stuff on Mukti on internet.
I think I learned a little bit from you after making so many mistakes in the past. Because even for Mumbai Gullies, we have now been very conscious about the kind of updates that we put. Because, like, you get judged on the development quality. And, I think probably our game has been at the brunt of receiving some of the most positive and most negative feedbacks, right? Like there's no in
Yeah,
between for us. So I really appreciate your patience while you're navigating the space so beautifully and so gracefully.
dude,
Uh,
I have a lot of patience. Ask my wife.
yeah,
You'll see fights where things there basically there's only one voice, and the
yeah,
other one is a listener. Oh, by the way, just for the people who are watching this, please, if you haven't checked my channel, just go and check,
yeah.
or do subscribe. Do consider subscribing to the channel as well. It's in the title of this video itself. But yeah, I mean, it's always see. like today only, the I got this in this notification from YouTube
Yeah.
that two YouTubers, like one has just 2 subscribers
Mhm.
and the other one has like 30 subscribers.
Yeah.
They've like created a video about upcoming Indian games, and it has a piece of Mukti into it. Do you want to claim
Oh,
it or
wow.
no? Do you want to claim it or no? So I just went and went and checked the video. So the bad part about this video is that we don't talk about things, but people just tend to put it the way they want, right?
Mm.
So he mentions that the game is releasing in 2025, and the developers have confirmed and all that. I never spoke about that. I have
Lot of
never
rumors.
I have never spoken about the release date of Mukti at all.
There is a question in the chat as well. Mukti release date. So do you want to clarify a little bit on that? Do you have a release date, or you're just taking your time
No,
and
no,
you'll?
we have everything planned. We have the
But
release
it's internal.
as
Internal.
well. Yeah, yeah. We actually can't talk about it to anybody. You'll be surprised.
Yeah.
Um, Half of my team has no idea about when it's releasing. Half
Yeah.
of my team has no idea what the end of the game looks like.
Yeah.
So it's that confidential, and
Wow.
everything that you would see, like the official announcements and everything,
Yeah.
um, would probably not come from our channels. That's what I can
Yeah.
actually tell you.
Same is the case for us as well. Anything official you won't hear from my channel, but people will assume. Hey, but we have Hamza Kirmani over here. We have to congratulate him on Sky Harvest. He just recently closed a round of funding or publishing deal, right? So
Crazy.
Hamza, great to see you over here. I saw
Congrats,
the
man.
LinkedIn post. Congratulations to you. Um,
Congratulations, Hamza.
but Vaibhav, I just want to kind of understand now. Firstly, you mentioned that the first version of the game you started working on it in 2017, and now we are in 2025. It's been almost a decade now, right?
Yeah.
So the question is that why does a game take so much time? Why does a game take so much time, and why does it like there is a lot of misconception as well on the internet that you can make a game for cheap, or if you can also, as a solo developer, you can make games, right? So what are your 2 cents on that? Why does it take so long, and second, where does the money go?
See, there are two parts. Again, I'll clearly explain. There are two parts. One is, you need to ask whether the game has gone into production, and the second one is, it's already in production and it's
Yeah.
delayed. If the
Yeah.
game is not in production, it's not even started. That's a that's the reality. Like, technically, you can't call the game in development.
Yeah.
Um, so what happens is, um, if you ask me about, so let me give you an example of Mumbai Gullies itself.
Yeah.
If you don't follow what I'm saying in the first point, right, then
Yeah.
technically Mumbai Gullies has been in development since 20 years, right? Because that's where the first idea in your head came in,
True.
right? You wanted to
True.
actually build that game since a long time, right?
True.
And we do a lot of groundwork on it. We start creating documents in it. So
Yeah.
when I talk about the initial draft of the Mukti also, it came out like that only.
Right.
The second part, which is the production, like if your game is in production, in development,
Yeah.
and if it gets delayed, then there are multiple reasons for that.
Yeah.
The number one reason is the problems in scoping out the game.
Right.
Usually people tend to scope something, and then they keep on iterating, they start adding a lot of stuff, and then they don't, they lose out on the time, and then they add a lot of time into the production. So wo hote jata hai. You keep on
Right.
adding more and more stuff. You lose out on the core scope of your game. So you'll never close the game at all. So you'll be in that vicious loop of iterations only.
Right.
Lot of bigger studios basically face this thing. They
It's very common, right? I mean, it's not just a case that this happens in small studios, like big studios, big name studios. They also face delays, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And again, like I said, right, there are multiple reasons for that. One of the reasons is scoping, and that scoping comes from bad managers.
Yeah.
People who underestimate the buffers, underestimate how much time would it take for X thing, but they actually, don't consider that.
Yeah.
So that happens. Then the second thing is the budgeting usually affects the smaller studios. Bigger studios still have that pipeline of money flowing in so that they can build it, but
Yeah.
smaller studios usually face hiccups in the financial angle.
Yeah.
If you plan 100 rupees for 10, say for example, for 10 months of development, and something else comes up, and you lose out 50 rupees on that, you will end up halting the production for some time so that you can actually make that money again and
Right.
keep working on the game.
Right.
I'm talking about companies who don't have fundings,
Mhm.
right? So usually, and India at this stage, we don't have fundings, right?
Yeah.
For games like these, even if it's like somebody just mentioned inside on your chat, even a game like that would require some good backing in India.
Yeah.
If not, it is going to be delayed by these chunks of work windows that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that there are, and these are just two reasons I mentioned, but there are multiple reasons. You might have seen so many leaks happening of
Yeah.
bigger games, right? GTA happened. Now we don't know if GTA in themselves did it, but that happened with Last of Us also, right? Last
Yeah.
of Us 2 also.
Yeah.
So a lot of, because see, people are putting their heart and soul into it. It's their work of life, and
Yeah.
you, by doing things like these, you are not just hampering, you're not just for few views, you're not
Yeah.
just hampering the timelines, but you're playing with the mental state of everybody
Of
who's
the people. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
working on the game, right? So it
Right.
that is some real dark shit, right, that people
Yeah.
should not get into.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just this combination of just so many processes, right? Like the moment a game goes in terms of what you are building or what we are building, while going through this development cycle, I've realized there is just so much of processes involved. Like we just recently concluded with our voiceovers to coordinate with voiceover actors to get them together in one stage to communicate with them. That's just one process. Then you've got your animation, then you've got your system design, then you've got like music,
Yeah,
and it's just that raw time that is required to put everything together and then test it out, then listen to people's feedback, then hear some brutal things that hey, this looks like shit, or this is not up to our expectations. So then you go back to your drawing board and then you rework on it. Probably you scrap a lot of things and then you ground up build them. Another thing is hiring talent, and
yeah, that's
senior level talent. You have to wait for them, and once they join, only then you'll come to know whether they are good or not. God forbid if they are not good, then you add more months to your timeline, and all of this is basically it's very cash intensive, right? It's like it's not a joke to make a game.
yeah.
Making a game is no child's play.
Although it's just play, but
Yeah,
but
yeah,
the thing is, see, there are um, like so many things. Like if you we are we in just making a small we imagine making a small mobile game, there are so many things into it.
yeah,
Now you go into a much bigger space where you're making a game for PC, console.
Yeah.
Every small thing has a pipeline, and
Correct.
that pipeline has to be perfect. You can't screw around with that pipeline. For
Yeah.
people who don't really understand what pipeline is, right? I'll give you an example. You make, say a chair in 3D software, right? In Max or Maya, you make a chair. It has certain topology to it, density to it, volume to it, size and shape, everything. Now you
Yeah.
take that chair and put it in Unreal for your game, right?
Yeah.
You just can't take it and just import it there.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that if you are using nanite, if you have to make sure that the amount of the density is right, so that nanite can work correctly. Now
Yeah.
there are 10 steps that you take for that one chair to perfectly land in Unreal without screwing it up,
Yeah.
right? That is one pipeline. So understanding those steps and repeatedly for every assets, 2000, 3000 assets in your game
Yeah.
go in the same pipeline in Unreal. And
Yeah.
that is just one pipeline. Now another example could be version control, right?
Yeah.
You have multiple programmers working on this one particular game. You want all of them to access that one scene so that they can work simultaneously on it. So
Yeah.
there is a pipeline for that, right? You need to
Yeah.
set it up on either Perforce or GitHub, and Git basically, and you have to manage that.
Yeah.
Your the example that you just gave about the voice recording thing,
Yeah.
right from scratch. What is the pipeline? You first of all, you need to understand what the walkthrough piece is. In that
Yeah.
walkthrough piece, you need to understand how many dialogues are there. You have to
Yeah.
then write down those dialogues. You have
Yeah.
to have a finalized script of those dialogues. The
Yeah.
next fourth step is you need to grammatically correct it so that you
Yeah.
don't screw it up anywhere else.
Yeah.
Then if you are doing localization, you need to have multiple languages of it. Now once all these scripts are ready, you go to finding a studio, tying up with a studio where you can actually record it, and dealing
Like
with.
every statement you are saying right now is bringing memories of our own production process, and each and every single step that you've mentioned, we've done that, and I'm sure it's true for Mukti as well, right?
Yeah, so you go through so many steps and then eventually you have one audio, one
Correct.
vocal, right? Now imagine having 10,000 dialogues in your game that
Yeah.
has to go through that pipeline. Now
Yeah.
these, India today for PC and console, we are actually very early, and
Yeah.
everybody who is trying to build a PC or a console game is right now learning it from scratch,
Correct.
right? So you have to give it to all of them to at least trying and building that ecosystem where tomorrow younger folks can just call us up and just understand
Yeah.
on that one call कि क्या करना है तुमको exactly, rather than
Yeah.
putting so much time that we've done
Yeah.
to understand these pipelines.
Yeah, I think we are at this perfect stage right now wherein we are learning everything and creating like a knowledge repository. I know that you are also working on some stuff on the side while you're going through the entire PlayStation cycle to create some sort of documentation, right? So I think our generation is going to be the one that is going to probably succeed the most or go through multiple failures so that the next generation of game developers can churn out some really good quality games. And once we reach there, I think India will be the dominating player in the entire video game segment because gone are the days now where we don't take risks. We are now exposed to publishers. We are now exposed to investors taking interest in games being built from here. So I'm
Yeah,
really looking forward to the next lot of games, that will launch through Sony's India Hero project, couple of independent titles and whatnot.
yeah,
And just one thing that I also want to share about one more process is because we are building Mumbai Greens, there are a couple of elements related to motion capture that we figured out, right?
yeah,
Now, even that process, it's so fascinating. Like as of this moment, like right now, we are at that stage currently, right? So a couple of things involved, right? One is you speak to a couple of studios, understand where that motion capture facility is based, or you buy a suit, right?
Yeah.
But then buying a suit is not the end of the story, because you then have to put that suit on the actors. You have to tell them to enact that scene, and then you have to proportionately map that specific area on, let's say if you're working on a cutscene, right? So you have to
Yeah.
tell those characters, and then you have to place those props according to how those are going to look in your game. Then you have to tell them to act that scene out. Okay, then you have to match the audio with that. That's one. Second part is, you then, once you get that raw animation data, there are a few jitters, there are a few, like that entire animation sequence is not clean. It's not like you act that sequence and that
Yeah.
thing is ready, right?
You need to
So
clean it.
then, yes, then there's the process of cleanup. Now cleanup, either you can do in-house or you can outsource it. And if you do outsource it, then a couple of studios, they charge for per second, is what we got to know.
Yeah.
So let's say even if you have maybe what, 25 minutes of cutscenes, for example, that translates to about 1,500 seconds. Okay,
Yeah.
and then multiply that cost by whatever studios they are quoting, and you'll end up with a figure that's in a few lakhs. Or if you have more footage, then that goes in crores. So many layers to this, and it's not an easy job at all. But I think I'm happy that we are going through this learning curve, because we are actually, man, like you and me, we're living the life of our dreams. What can be a bigger blessing than this? Right. So
Absolutely.
what are your thoughts on that? Like, through the struggles and all, struggles aside, what is that one thing that makes you wake up in the morning and give it your best for, even though the game is not out? What keeps you motivated?
Uh, See, I am honestly, I'm a very positive person. I believe in manifestations. I try to, create what I really want,
Yeah.
and that's basically through thoughts only. And I envision a lot of things.
So
Um,
the secret.
yeah, it takes a
Yeah.
lot of time, but it also takes. I mean, it just helps you uh, stay true to your purpose, right? For
Yeah.
me, this is like a golden opportunity that we've got, right?
Yeah.
um, इतना सब मिलके भी if you don't make it, then तो you don't even deserve this opportunity, right? And
Yeah.
for me, I consider myself as a storyteller, right? For me,
Yeah.
I've been doing theater. I've kind of been um, decently successful in what I tried to do in terms of creative domains, right?
Yeah.
So, be it game designing or game production, when I was working for somebody else, be it creating, acting, and directing plays in regional language, on theater.
Yeah.
Uh, I actually did a couple of very successful plays which were crazy. So for me, it's basically a product that I
Yeah.
want to that I want to that I want to make before I die.
Yeah.
Right? Like these, like things that
The original statement would have been so sad.
so basically, I believe in legacies, right? So I would probably put in everything that I can to bring this game out. That's number one step. Number two is I want to make it so big that this would actually um, put India on a global map where they start considering this as a serious business for India.
Yeah.
Did you actually see the Phantom Blade trailer?
No.
You should check that trailer out, Phantom Blade.
Phantom
Um,
Blade Zero.
yeah. So you'll if you see the trailer, no, you'll see what level of polish the Chinese developers have reached to.
Okay, it's an Unreal 5.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
we can,
crazy.
yeah,
And
we can
and
watch this and react to this.
yeah, watch it. And it takes years to reach here.
Right.
And we are in that first year, first, second year.
Yeah. Wow. Even Black Myth Wukong, right?
Yeah,
That being an indie game, but it is actually made by a couple of veterans.
yeah, absolutely.
I read somewhere that the game cost about $40 million.
No, it actually went more than that. 40 million though
Just the dev budget.
is yeah, I think SoftBank or Tencent actually came in later stage where they actually
Yeah,
invested that money in the company,
yeah.
right? But before that, it already was like around 3 to 4 years of production already.
Wow.
On top of that, the Chinese government came in with a great backing,
Yeah,
because the product was kick-ass, right? Look at
absolutely.
this. Look at this. What are these guys doing, man?
Like the animations are so smooth, the visual quality, these effects and all. I mean, this is just like when I look at this, I'm looking at this from a game developer's perspective, and everything is just like these huge assets coming together and forming this beautiful gameplay sequence
It's
that we are
a
seeing.
it's a ballet. It's a choreographed.
It's a ballet, yeah.
Yeah. You if you look at the later part of this trailer, no,
Yeah.
you'll go mad because
Oh, wow.
they've used something which I haven't seen yet. Bas.
Wow.
Take it to the 60% of the video.
This one?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. This looks so grim, gritty, and full of like rage.
Look at the ropes. Look at the physics in the ropes.
Damn, damn, like damn, just like wow, beautiful. Speechless. And for us to reach this level, it's going to take a couple of years more.
Yeah, absolutely. At least 4 to 5 years more.
Wow, man, chills, literal
Yeah, but that's
chills.
what, no, these guys, when they started, they were making smaller games, right?
Right.
So वही तो कर रहे हैं अभी हम लोग.
Wow. And even like if we were to talk a little bit about the games in past, say for example, if we look at open world games, there was this game called Sleeping Dogs, which was based in Hong Kong, right? I read if I just Google that Sleeping Dogs development budget, this was $30 million, and
Yeah,
Sleeping Dogs is what 2008 it began, and it was released in 2012. So $30 million. If I were to just put that in rupees, $30 million in rupees, how much is
200,
this?
200,
259
crores.
crores,
Yeah,
260 crores. Where are we in this spectrum? We are like nowhere in terms of this development budget. But having said so, I think we are also in a situation where we are living in India, where we don't need 260 crores perhaps. Maybe we can build something in 2050 crores, 20 to 50 crores range, right?
yeah.
So, do you want to talk a little bit about the cost arbitrage part?
Regarding,
Cost arbitrage, like the difference in building
yeah,
something like a
okay.
sleeping dogs in the West versus in India.
So again, see, the thing is, the problem is India does not have a case study yet,
Yeah,
right? You see a lot of funding happening on mobile side today because
yeah,
we have a lot of case studies in mobile, right?
yeah,
There are companies like a Play Simple, which
yeah,
actually got acquired for I don't know what was the number, 350 million, something like that, right?
yeah,
That happened because they proved it when we had India had a case study for that.
Yeah.
We had similar offers coming for Ludo King, not as big as that, but at least it made a lot of news during COVID, and they did a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
India में, if I ask you, naming one game which has been there on PC and console and doing good, the only
Hmm.
decent game, and I wouldn't say that it is a big success, but Raji did good for the industry as well, right? It's a
Yeah.
decent success.
Yeah.
But on top of that, I don't see anything doing that well
Yeah.
so far, right? Uh,
Yeah.
so when I say decent success, the amount of money that it is made was also very decent, right? So
Yeah.
when you talk about investors point of view, investors usually look at 100x. They are looking at 100 million revenue kind of conversations, right?
Yeah.
And there is no conviction on that in India.
Yeah.
Uh, that is why investors are not betting big on that as of yet, on specifically
Yeah.
PC and console.
Right.
But the day we
The
have
conqueror had
one
come.
success, I
Raji
think we'll have a lot more people jumping on this train.
Sorry, that part got cut out a bit. There was this audio that started playing. What was the last statement that you said?
I was saying the day we have at least one success, right? A
Yeah.
lot of people will start jumping on this train.
Absolutely. I also want to talk a little bit on the measurement of success. So you mentioned about Raji,
Yeah,
but recently Kamla was also released, which did fairly well for a game that at this scale, right?
yeah, yeah,
But it was not something that could, clock in like crores and crores of revenue, right?
yeah,
So why do you think that happened? Because I played this game, I met Shubham as well. We in fact showcased our game simultaneously at Gamescom Latam as well.
yeah,
So it is a wonderful game. I loved every single aspect of it. The graphics are good, the gameplay is good, the overall level design aspect is good. It just feels good as well. But it didn't translate into a monetary success. So what do you think went wrong?
See, I would be very transparent and very blunt about this. And Shubham is a friend, so I'm not really, uh,
Yeah,
talking negative about this. But I'll be from an industry point of view. I'll share a couple of things. Right, Kamla is a
yeah,
good game. It's a great experience. I know a lot
yeah,
of people who couldn't even finish that because they were scared too, right? In terms of gameplay, it was really, really good. Um, but we need to understand that we are when we are making a PC and console game, we are not competing with India. We are competing with global standard games in all the aspects, be it the visual quality, be it the gameplay quality, everything, right?
yeah,
Um, in that aspect or in that comparison, I feel the graphics that specifically Kamla has are um, could have been way better. I mean, and I'm not saying they should have done that, because I know what a developer goes through to even get to this point of
yeah,
visuals, right? And I'm not
yeah,
talking about the technical part of it. I'm talking about the financial, the hustle, the
yeah,
struggle to get to this kind of a game, right?
yeah,
And hats off to Shubham that he has actually he and his team has done this really well.
yeah.
But um, keeping those things aside, we are competing against the global games, so we'll need to up our game in terms of visuals at least, right?
But I want to interject you a little bit over here. So like the polarizing thoughts that I'm getting right now is we talked about Kamla, right?
Yeah,
But there's also this one mini mega success is what I would like to call uh, this game called Fears to Fathom.
yeah, yeah,
Now this game, if we were to look at like it got decent graphics, of course. It's not like AAA title or whatever, but this game has done fairly pretty well, I would say. I mean, there was Jacksepticeye who played the game.
yeah.
So, do you think like what worked for Fears to Fathom that didn't work for Kamla?
Okay, see, that's what, no, you just have to understand that it it the game speaks global. The
Hmm.
language, the unspoken language that Fears to Fathom has is global. This right from the setup to the concept to the story, it's global. Whereas if you see Kamla, it is very regional, very
Yeah.
regional, right? Um, if you again compare both the games, when I played Fears to Fathom, and I see a lot of aesthetics in the game. The visual quality is still similar, but there is a lot of aesthetics which is very relatable to the global audience,
Hmm.
which Kamla does not have at this point, right? See this video also that you just played, the car and the fog and the vibe of it, right? It
Yeah.
relates a lot to the global audience. That's one of the reasons that these people picked it up. Um,
Yeah.
and for Kamla specifically, in this similar fashion, Kamla also got really, picked up by Indian audience. A lot of Indian streamers, a lot of everybody in India knows Kamla today, right?
Yeah.
So the purpose is done.
Yeah.
What was required with that game is already done, right?
Yeah.
I think it is a success. The amount of people who worked on this, the with the
Yeah.
budget that they worked on this, and the
Yeah.
craze that they created out of it, the purpose is done, is solved.
Done. Yeah.
You can't now, because now a lot of people know it, we can't now sit back and analyze why did this game did not make a lot of money, because it was not
Hmm.
intended to. It
Hmm.
was, it came out as a small nice game which is horror, and people loved it, right?
Yeah.
So the purpose is done. I would say this will help, this experience altogether will help Shubham and his team to make something really big tomorrow
Yeah.
with the same experience, right?
Right.
So I think that is, that then, that are my 2 cents for it. Unfortunately, again, Fears to Fathom worked well, related, it was relatable for Western audience, and
Yeah.
Western audience grabbed it. This Kamla was relatable for Indian audience, and they liked it. The only
Yeah.
problem is that the Western audience spend money on the games,
Yeah.
Indians don't. That's the
Yeah.
problem. Otherwise, India has, three folds, four folds amount of population that can actually
Yeah.
um, make a lot of money for the developers, but the intent is not there yet.
Yeah. But now, while we've talked about Kamla and Fears to Fathom, two games at the extremes of spectrums, where Kamla has been relatable with the Indian audience and Fears to Fathom has been a global success. Let's talk a little bit about our games now. Let's talk about Mukti. Let's talk about Mumbai Willies. Our games are also based in an Indian environment, right?
Yeah,
So, like, this is just an open discussion between friends now.
yeah,
How will we tackle these issues and how will we navigate the space? Like, for me also, like what you said, I completely vibe with it, that it needs to have that global element, because we are competing with global games. So how do you think that we will be able to navigate the space and probably create, probably, hopefully, definitely we need to have that confidence, otherwise what's
yeah,
the point, that we will be able to solve this for the next crowd.
yeah. So the problem is similar, like you said correctly. The problem is similar, um, and I'm sure you might have thought of 10 different things for your game,
Yeah.
but for our game, right? What we have done is we already know these things, right? So
Yeah.
we've already figured out like 4 to 5 things
Yeah.
which are um, which are great about the game, and they are very much relatable to the Western audience,
Yeah.
right? We have already working on that, and the game uh, inherently has that content which will relate to the global audience, because even if the setup is India,
Yeah.
just to give you an example, the game revolves around human trafficking, right?
Yeah.
One of the countries which is badly affected by human trafficking is India. One
Yeah.
of the countries, not the top country, but one of the countries.
Yeah.
But the amount of seriousness that Western audience have on a subject like human trafficking, India does not have that.
Mhm.
They are very serious about these topics, and they care a lot about um, things which speak about these elements.
Yeah.
So that's one of the examples. The second thing, which is like a making up to the same problem, is we have stretched our limits to bring out really good visuals in the game, which would definitely be at par to what you see with the global
Yeah.
games.
Right.
uh, so that
And you've got the backing of Sony. What
absolutely,
else?
absolutely,
Yeah.
the amount of knowledge that we are getting from Sony in terms of optimization, um,
Yeah.
you know bringing high quality assets in the game and optimize the trailer that you see here is made 3 years back, 2 to 3 years back.
Wow.
The visuals that we have right now in the game are 10x of what you see here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so and that is absolute Sony's work. I mean, Sony has helped us get to that level where we had no clue that all of these techniques can be used to bring in high quality assets in the game while keeping the game running smoothly on PlayStation 5.
Wow.
So that's crazy, right? So that's another thing, right? The third thing is, um uh see, there is, even if you go regional, right, in India, if you try and bring in India into the games,
Yeah.
um, if you play it safe, right, there is a high chance that people will love it. Like
Yeah.
for example, you see a lot of Westerners trying to adopt to Indian culture.
Yeah.
So having some sort of knowledge base or things that Westerners can actually uh, see and quickly learn from the game also, subconsciously while they're playing the game,
Yeah.
that is very intriguing for them.
Yeah.
I'm sure, because I didn't actually finish the whole game, Kamla, but there might be like 10% of things which could fall into this knowledgeable elements,
Yeah.
which people would learn, right? For us, the whole game is based in Indian museum, and there are 1000 artifacts, and there is story for every artifact and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So we are making up on the other elements as well. And if you broadly look at the global games market, global audience is now feeling very stagnancy point.
Yeah.
They have,
They want variety.
yeah, they have, for last 30 years they've been playing games in the backdrop of America and Europe.
Yeah.
That is why you see, Hitman trying a Mumbai level, or
Yeah.
a Far Cry having the north part into it.
Nepal. Yeah.
Even Uncharted had this whole Indian vibe to it,
Yeah. Yeah.
because they love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why you might have also seen a lot of Japanese games doing well in the last 4 years.
Oh yeah, Yakuza series has been one of the biggest examples of this. Yakuza is an absolute masterpiece.
Yeah, so Ghost of Tsushima, Sekiro,
Oh
all of
yeah.
these games did well because, and if you look at them, right, they are primarily Japanese. They
Yeah.
don't even care about what, to keep English as the first language.
Yeah.
It's just there in the
Yeah.
subtitles, and you need to understand it.
Yeah, this is actually something that we are doing with Mumbai release as well.
Yeah.
Because again, no matter if even if we have raised a funding round or whatever, we still have to be judicious about where we utilize our funds. So for our game, while our voiceovers are done purely in Hindi, English, Marathi, bit of Bengali as well actually. But to make it a global game, we are actually localizing it into different languages, just the subtitles part. So is it something similar with Mukti as well?
Yeah, so Mukti basically will be releasing in two languages.
Okay.
It's English and Hindi, both.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then the text will have localization done in other 10 languages, which are foreign
Yeah.
languages.
Right.
So consider, so just to sum it up, right? Consider Mukti as cinema, as
Yeah.
as a as a great story, immersive story that you will enjoy playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely. And there is a small discussion going on in chat related to the game having an Indian audience, whatever. So I'll just read it out. I'll give my thoughts on it, and then we'll. So Shlok says that firstly, the majority Indian audience doesn't have a PC or console. They just have mobiles. If you want to cater to the Indian audience, you guys should maybe try the cloud gaming space, cloud gaming, and then a follow-up question to a follow-up reply to that by Konathala is Shlok, you're exactly right. That's what I'm trying to explain for so many times. These guys are not listening. Example, if we call a friend to come and play a game, the fastest way is mobile. I don't know why not mobile. I'll give my thoughts on this. So a lot of people have this misconception that the target audience that we are keeping for our game is just restricted to India, right? And this is something that we have talked about in our pitches and even the entire positioning of our game, that it is the part wherein this game has an Indian city, that's where the Indian context stops, right? It is a game based in the city of Mumbai. It does not mean that we are targeting only the Indian audience. We are very much targeting the global audience who have access to PC and console, and that is the intent, right? And that is the reason why we are making this for PC and console, because my firm belief is that when you're like games like Mukti or Mumbai Gullies, they need that attention span from the user, from the player. And if you're building this for mobile, it will just then end up being an experience that you play between breaks or between commutes, right? And you won't get to enjoy the storyline. You won't get to see that entire flow of the game. Because again, yeah, on mobile, when you play, you are riddled with notifications, and that entirely hampers the gameplay experience of it. Of course, there are other games that you can enjoy on mobile, like hyper casuals and hybrid casuals. But games like ours, they require users' attention time, and we as developers know that India is a mobile heavy market, mobile dominant market. We ourselves, like Weber, you and me are gamers, right? First, so we know that India's penetration of mobile market is much higher, but we that is not our target. Weber, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, absolutely. See, firstly, no one has ever said that we are building a game for mobile or India.
Yeah,
Sorry, not mobile. We are making a game for India, right?
yeah,
We are not making. I'm talking about, like, I'll say it from our point of view, from Underdog's point of view. We Mukti is not being built for India. We would love that if India, cares for the game. We would love if India loves the game, but the target audience clearly is the global audience. uh, we have spent like 16, 17 years in the industry. um, so we know, so जितना थोड़ा नॉलेज है ना हम लोगों को पता है कि इंडिया में नहीं चलते ये चीजें, ठीक है?
yeah,
we we are not making this for India. We are building these games so that tomorrow a next set of generation that comes, um, you know and we are not doing this for them, we are doing it for ourselves only, being very honest. But
yeah,
if we don't attempt it right now, the I don't think, it'll take a lot more years later to get to that point, right?
right.
There has to be, in a specific industry, there need to be some hustlers who can actually have balls to go out of their way and create something magical. which
Yeah.
will pave path for others to come in and join,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
learn and join, right? So um, all of what we are doing at Underdogs is all planned. It's all on paper to production. The whole
Yeah.
timelines are being set, and you'll see the game right on the release date that we have already planned, right?
Wow.
And it is because we we are very strict on what we are doing. We have a great support from Sony for that. um, in terms of big, like, just to give you a perspective on story based games, right? The one thing that you mentioned, Nikhil, is story
Yeah.
based games or narrative games are games that we call as immersive games, right?
Yeah.
You put your character, you put yourself in the place of the character, and you get immersed in the game.
Right.
uh, the times have changed today, where initially people like us, how we used to bunk schools, we used to bunk colleges, stay whole day
Yeah.
at home and play GTA or play FIFA or play cricket
Yeah.
07, all those games, right? Which means we used to figure out time
Yeah.
and play games.
Yeah.
Today the world has moved to a level where we don't figure out time, we play when we have time,
Yeah.
right? So we have time while we are commuting, we have time while we are using the restroom. That is
Yeah.
where mobile games are picked and people start playing it. You can't,
Yeah.
in no way you can actually get immersed into a game by doing these things.
Right.
And we want to make a story based game, we want to make a story heavy narrative based game, because that's our forte, that's something that we love, that's something that we envision that the studio could grow big in this
Yeah.
category, right? So that is the reason we are doing story based games, narrative based games, and that's the reason why we are building PC console games, and that's the reason why we are making these games for global audience.
I absolutely, the moment you started talking of these aspects, right? I remembered my pitches with my set of investors. This is the exact thing that I've said in my pitches, because that's just the way it is, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't immerse yourself in a mobile game, and even if you do, you probably might not remember it for a long period of time. Like, when was the last time you, like, GTA San Andreas, GTA Vice City, all of them are available on mobile phones as well, but you don't enjoy them playing on mobile phones as much. But having said so, Vaibhav, we have a 100 rupee super chat over here
Nice.
from Goku, and he has asked, "Hi sir, I've made good games and can make better games, but I don't know how to make it visible to gamers and get attention. So, what are your 2 cents on this?"
uh, it's different for different platforms. If you are focusing on mobile, you need to put this in your head. For sure you need to do user acquisition.
Yeah,
That is very important. If you're making a mobile game, mobile games are very crowded market, and when I say user acquisition, right, it's basically nothing illegal, nothing wrong, nothing just boosting the numbers to get on top ranks, nothing like that. What you do
yeah,
usually is, if you're making a racing game and you launch it, and if you want to launch it in US as a market or India as a market, let's say India as a market, you do
yeah,
user acquisition campaign in Pakistan or Bangladesh, because the audience is similar. So you spend
yeah,
like 100, 200, 300 rupees per day and target your game to your target audience.
yeah,
So if you look at Facebook campaigning, you will get interest. You'll have that section where you can choose the demography, you can choose the age, you can choose what these, I want to push this ad to only those people who play racing games.
yeah,
So you, when you funnel it down, you have your right audience, and you spend 300, 400 rupees per day pushing your game to only that specific audience. What happens
yeah,
is, your game reaches to your target audience and they download it. When they download it, they play your game, and you get all sort of data from these audience.
right,
You get to understand where are people actually losing out on the game, where are which level is failing, where are they dropping off,
Yeah.
why are they not play finishing level 2. All of these things you can analyze in the analytics of that game, and then iterate,
Yeah.
iterate, and then eventually when you are confident about the numbers, you need to figure out the day one retention, you
Yeah.
need to figure out the CPI, a lot of things. And then eventually when you're confident, then you publish it in India.
It's
Now,
such a long
yeah,
process.
yeah, so you get right numbers, you get right results, right? So that
Yeah.
is for mobile. So remember that if you make a game, keep like a budget of 20, 30, 40,000 rupees just for user acquisition, at least at the beginning. It
Yeah.
takes a lot more than that. I mean, people spend crores in user acquisitions, but small time indies I can understand. And then you need to have at least 20,000 budget to at least get that kickstart.
Absolutely.
On PC and console, it's a different game. PC, basically, your marketing on PC game starts on day one itself. You
Yeah.
start gathering the wish list, and there's a standard math that whatever the number of wish list that you have, at least 8 to 10% of them get converted on day one.
Yeah.
So your objective is to fill that wish list. Nothing
Yeah.
else you can do actually.
Yeah. A lot of people asked me this question as well, right? Why did we announce Mumbai Gillies so early? And that is just like exactly because of this, because it takes time for your game to propagate to a large audience, especially in a day and time where you are actually having these bigger publishers like your Ubisofts and EAs of the world and Rockstar Games, right? They have massive budgets,
Yeah,
and you possibly can't match their budget even after like doing, especially if you are a new studio, right? How much can you raise? Like you'll raise 5 million, 10 million tops,
yeah,
but the advertising budget of GTA 5 itself was over $500 million. $500 million they spent on advertising. Where will you get $500 million from? So that's the entire gist of it. It's just a very cash intensive business in almost every aspect, but it's the most rewarding business as well, because I think game development is probably the only field where you'll only find passionate people, and the ones who are not get phased out, right? That's just
yeah,
how it is. But Weber, now what I want to do is let's talk a little bit about your channel. I see that and it's almost close to midnight. We have our work tomorrow as well, so we'll wrap this up quickly. But before we wrap it up, let's talk a little bit about your channel and the amazing podcast that you're doing. You also recently got a celebrity on your channel. His name, I believe, was Nikhil Malankar. So how is the
yeah,
podcast doing? Like I find a lot of value, as you can see. I've watched a couple of videos on your channel. I think the quality is great.
yeah.
So what is the road ahead? And guys, for those of you who are watching this and have not subscribed to Web of channel, please go ahead and do so. It's on YouTube at iamwebofjawan.com. No, at iamwebofjawan, and a couple of videos. And I think majority of your focus now is just podcast, right? So do you want to talk a little bit on that front?
Yeah. So I'm primarily focusing on the podcast only, because I think for years now, I think it's been like 8, 10 years that industry has grown. We have some really great people in the industry, but what has happened always is that the people who are playing games are more popular than the people who are making games, right? So a lot of younger folks who are streaming the games are only in focus, and a lot of people who are behind the curtains who are building games, nobody knows about them, right? So my whole
Yeah,
agenda was to create a podcast where I can bring in everybody from the industry, because I've been in the industry for 17 years now. I have a great network. I know a lot of people. A lot of people happen to know me, so I it becomes easier for me to bring them on the podcast, right?
yeah,
I felt for some reason, I felt I have a responsibility to do this,
yeah,
and because I fit in exactly in the right role.
yeah,
If you look at the podcast, right, I have
yeah,
a background of talking, right?
Yeah.
I have been doing these things for a long time. I know a lot of people been there in the industry, so it all came together, and I was like, we need to bring these people into limelight, and that's where the whole idea of the Great Indian Gaming podcast started. uh,
I love the name. I love the name.
yeah. Also, another thing is, it is pure, like we are keeping it purely in English. Like 99%, 95% of language is English that is used, right? One of the
Yeah.
major reasons why we are doing that is because, see, end of the day, we'll just keep fighting internally in India, saying that we are not making AAA titles, right?
Yeah.
How do we even get in the eyes of the global publishers or global investors? Because we need a lot of money. We are talking about India में investment नहीं हो रहा है, right? For that investment to happen, we need bigger players to see. Look,
Wherever there, like the timing of this is so uncanny. We got another 100 rupee super chat again from Goku,
yeah.
and he has asked, "How can we get publishers?" Like you're talking about publishers, and we got the super chat at that right moment. So Goku, thanks a lot for the super chat, and you don't have to say sorry. So yeah, what are your thoughts? Yes,
Yeah,
how do we get publishers?
I'll finish this, and then I'll talk
Yes,
about the
absolutely,
publisher. So
absolutely,
the thing is, it's kept in English is because the global investors, the publishers, game developers should understand what is happening in India. And I think this
right.
podcast is kind of a medium that I am trying to build, going big on LinkedIn as well as on this podcast. That this is the current situation in the Indian gaming industry, and you can actually look at it from an
Right.
investment angle or anything. Getting a publisher is a tricky thing. Uh, you can't just wake up one morning, have an idea and pitch it to publisher and ask money for them.
Yeah.
Publishers really require a couple of things. If you can create a great pitch deck, which is a presentation of your game, and you have a vertical slice of your game, that's more than enough.
A vertical slice, for the audience who doesn't know what a vertical slice is, it's just a small version of your game that has the most fun elements of what you're intending to build.
I'll explain it further by giving you
Yeah,
an example.
yeah,
So if I am a interior designer, and if you have a big house, right,
yeah,
and I come and tell you that you know your the whole house will take 1 crore for the interiors, right?
yeah,
You will not give me that money,
right,
right? So I'll give you two options. Number one option is, give me 10 lakh rupees, and I'll do something on every wall, little bit on every wall, and decorate the complete house little bit, right? That's not option number
yeah,
one. And the option number two is, I'll say, give me just one room, this one room, 10 by 10 room, and give me 10 lakh rupees. I'll make it as polished as I can in that 10 lakh rupees, so that you understand my capability. Once you
yeah,
understand that, then you can give me the remaining money so that I can do similar creativity in all the other rooms, right?
right,
The
right,
second part is a vertical slice that I just spoke about, right?
yeah,
Because थोड़ा थोड़ा हर रूम में करने से मेरा टैलेंट तो दिख के आ ही नहीं रहा है. What I can actually
yeah,
go to, वो आ ही नहीं रहा है. So
yeah,
vertical slice basically is like 1-2% of your game, a little part of your game, which is highly polished to a vision um, of a full game, right?
yeah,
So looking at that one piece, the investor or the publisher should understand कि तुम्हारे गेम का इवेंचुअली क्वालिटी क्या होने वाला है, right? So that's
yeah.
vertical slice. So publishers need that vertical slice. They want to see what your
Things in
vision
action.
is.
Yeah,
And then there are only two ways where you can find publishers. One is search them on internet and randomly mail them, cold mail them with a great. Now you have chat GPT, you can put a good mail also, right? And
Yeah.
send cold mails directly, and they'll entertain you. That's their job.
Yeah.
And the second thing is conferences. You go to
Yeah.
conferences and meet publishers, arrange meetings, meet publishers, pitch your game,
Yeah.
get a deal. That's it.
Yeah, I have one more way for this. So this relies a little bit on doing a bit of research on your genre of game. So let's say, for example, we'll do this activity right now. Maybe you're making an action game. All right, go to your action genre on Steam, then pick up, like, see what games have been published. Just literally go to their Steam page. Maybe we'll go for maybe Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 or Hunter Wilds. All right. Now go to this page and see what who is the developer and who is the publisher, right? And then go to that publisher page, see what kind of games they have worked on, and if that matches your game genre, then you can further explore their website and get in touch with them. So it's basically about finding the you can't sell ice to an Eskimo, right? So a publisher who only publishes maybe dress up games will never take interest in your action game, right?
Yeah,
So it is always also to know what the developer or the publisher is expert in and approach only those type of publishers.
perfect, perfect.
Yeah. But wherever this was a lot of fun, and like I'm gonna continue doing these game dev assemble streams. So you're most welcome to join on any other stream where we have a couple of other developers as well.
Yeah.
And this was extremely fun. Like we talked on touched base on so many aspects. So once again, guys, just go ahead and check out Webov's channel. There are a couple of interesting podcasts. One of the most interesting and my favorite is my own podcast on Webov channel, because why not? But I think the first podcast was very insightful as well. Shakun Shah, he's quite an interesting person. Then Rishi sir, who's been ex India Games, quite a legend in the industry by himself. And Deepak's simplicity and the way that he narrates his entire storyline, that was amazing. And I'm looking forward to Rahul Segal's podcast as well, that is going to come on 29th of January. So, guys, that's about it. That's it from my end. Weber, any thoughts, parting thoughts from your end?
Uh, Firstly, thanks a lot for doing this. I think we both of us. I remember back in 2017, we were sitting in my
Yeah,
studio and we were discussing about this one day.
yeah,
This would come, like the time would come when actually we'll have a lot of people uh, talking about game dev, right?
yeah,
I remember I had like 200 subscribers and you had like 400 or 500 subscribers at that time.
yeah,
We were still
yeah,
doing that at that time, and today it's great to see that so many people actually joining the live sessions also to understand more. Oh yeah, this is the first video.
it was this one, yeah.
That's my studio.
Five years ago,
Five
2019.
years.
Man,
Wow,
wow. 15th of May.
crazy.
Damn. Yeah.
Crazy.
Wow. Memories, man, memories.
Yeah, but the things have really moved to a different level now, and it's great to see things materializing. I
Yeah.
would,
You know what we should do? We should do a react to this video someday.
yeah,
Like we'll watch this entire video and then we'll see how far we've come and what were our ideologies then, and do we still agree with those points now? Yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah.
would be a lot of fun.
That's a good live session.
All right. Yeah, yeah, Vaibhav, sorry, I interrupted you completely.
Yeah, no. There's one message in the chat saying, "Will AI disrupt this industry in recent years?"
Yeah,
Just to answer that, I'll just say that AI disrupting, I don't know, but it is um, catapulting or accelerating the whole production for us at least.
yeah,
AI is helping us pace out, doing things at a really fast pace
yeah,
than compared to the earlier. s- ways.
Yeah.
um, and something that I kept on saying again and again is that you don't have to worry about AI that much. It is not
Yeah.
going to take your job, but yeah, you
Yeah.
worry about the other people, humans, because humans who can use AI better than you will take your job. uh,
Absolutely.
so yeah, it was a great session, man. I really enjoyed it, guys. There is this link directly in Nikhil's this video, um, on my channel,
Yeah.
right? So just if you just click on that link, you'll be taken to my channel. Do subscribe to the channel. There are more than 550 videos on all the aspects of game development. Nikhil and me made a lot of similar videos earlier also, but you'll get a fresh perspective on both the videos. So do consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll definitely love to come back on the channel again to react on that video.
Done. Yeah. All right, guys, that's about it for this stream. Please, before you go to sleep, don't forget to brush your teeth. It's very important to take care of your teeth and your health. With that in mind, thanks a lot, Vaibhav, again for coming onto this podcast. This was a lot of fun. We'll catch up once again. And for the audience, good night. Stay subscribed, hit the like button, share this video as much as you can. And thanks a lot for watching.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye.
Bye, guys.